Hi, everyone. This is Colleen, and I'm here with Susie, and we are waiting for Celeste. I don't think McKenna's going to be on the show tonight. She had a long drive today to get home, so um, I think she had just a long drive with kids is hard. So,
Yes, it is.
yeah. Um, and we're just having all kinds of technical difficulties tonight and almost didn't have a show, but we're here.
Barely. We're doing it.
We're here. We finally got some sound. We couldn't get any sound going. It's just been it's crazy. So,
Mhm.
anyway, so what we're going to do tonight is we are going to talk. Let's see, we do have some comments that came in. Hey, Mud Lover. Hey, Mad Max. And we have, we're going to talk a little bit about some paranormal stuff and just throw out some stuff back and forth. We're waiting for Celeste. Her laptop was having issues. It's just been kind of a technical issue thing. I'm actually just bought this laptop. I'm thinking about going out and buying something a little better. This one is,
Mhm.
I think it's just not, yeah. Um, anyway, that's what you get when you spend as little as possible on something.
Unfortunately. I
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
question for you. How is the haunted farm going? Farm camera out
Pretty
there.
good.
You
So
caught
I started
anything?
live streaming a week ago. And yeah, so I got the camera up, was it a week ago? Maybe not even
Mhm.
quite a week. I think it was Friday. I finally figured out all of the software. Live streaming like this to YouTube, when we live stream, we're using um, StreamYard. So, and then it like once you set it up, it'll live stream to all these multiple locations, like our Facebook and our YouTube and all this kind of stuff, right? Instagram.
It's really cool.
It's very cool, except that we have a lot of audio issues with this platform. But you have to stream when you want to stream a camera, like I'm doing for the farm, just as an
Mhm.
FYI, because it took me months to figure this out, because there's no place you can go for all this information. You have to piece all of this stuff together. And if you're not technically savvy, I am not, it's really
Mhm.
hard. I ended up having to hire the guy that does our IT in our office to come out here and figure stuff out.
Oh, but hey, at least you had him. That's cool.
Yeah, and it was really hard. But anyway, because I'm thinking this can't be this difficult because they have cameras on bald eagle nests in the middle of the bloody forest. So why can't we stream like those? So
Mhm.
I finally found the camera that does it. So if anybody has any live stream questions, please contact me and shoot us a message on our Facebook or our YouTube or anything like that and let us know, because I have it all figured out now.
Mhm.
I have it up and running, and we probably had, I haven't counted today, but I'm going to say it's probably on the order of 1,500 views.
Oh, nice.
So some views are 20 minutes long, some views are 56 seconds long.
Hmm.
Anything, YouTube counts anything over 10 seconds as a view.
Hmm.
So, but what you're looking for too is streaming hours, is hours.
Oh.
You have to hit that 4,000 hour magic number, and that's
Mhm.
difficult. So anyway, the farm camera's up. It can't be up and running while we're doing this because that's too much bandwidth. So I have
Yeah.
to take it down and then put it back up. So I have to bring it up and down. So that's why if you go to our live streams and you don't see the farm cam, it's because I have to do something else with the laptop. It's just too much
Right.
problem. But anyway,
See, and she
so
says she's not tech savvy.
no, I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
How many things did I just throw around the kitchen tonight before our live stream? Because
I
nothing was
don't
working.
know. I lost count.
Yeah. So anyhow, so McKenna's not here, and I thought it would be kind of one of the places that I don't know if you guys are interested in ghost towns.
Mhm.
I I'm a ghost town junkie.
Me.
And before we start getting into the readings tonight, because it looks like it's kind of light on the viewers tonight. So you guys,
Mhm.
we're going to start readings a lot earlier than normal. So go ahead and start asking your questions.
Yes.
And as soon as Celeste gets on, she'll pop in here too. She can get her laptop working. But um, one of the ghost towns that I go to quite frequently is Bannock. It's
Bannock Ghost Town?
Bannock. It's Bannack, and it's
Okay.
right outside of Dillon, Montana.
Okay.
And it is no, not Dillon. Is it Dillon? Which okay, when you go right across the Idaho-Montana border, what's the first
Mhm.
Montana town where the
Is
college is? Is that Dillon?
I think so.
Yeah. So that's Bannock is the ghost town. You go to basically to those exits and then you can head west to Bannock. And Bannock Ghost Town is really active. And it's
Hmm.
a state historic ghost town. They have done a really phenomenal job at saving those buildings. There is a campground there and there is a trailer camp sites as well if you have an RV.
Mhm.
And there was a lot of gold and silver mining there. You can also find garnets up there. They
Ooh, I
bring
like.
down some of the tailings and let you pan them. And you can
Wow.
find a lot of garnets, lots of stuff. So Bannock, they ask for like a $10 donation when you come in, which is no big deal. I'll pay it all day long for as wonderfully maintained as that place is. And they have
Mhm.
a picnic area and they have all kinds of stuff. Kind of got to watch the bear once in a while. They've had
Yeah.
kind of a rogue bear go through there once in a while. And it has the oldest, the first, and so it was the first, okay, I'm going to screw this up, Masonic Lodge.
Okay.
The Masons there, that was the first lodge in Montana, and it's still active. So that building, you can go in there. You can't actually go into there. You can see through a window to the lodge, but you
Well,
can't
that's
actually go in the
cool.
lodge because it's still an active lodge. So they don't let anybody in it. So they still do have regular meetings there, which I found interesting. And that building, I used to use that for our podcast for the picture. It's has a lot of energy in that building. If you walk into that building or just coming up to that building, you can feel it. I'm not sure what
Mhm.
I'm feeling there, but there's a lot of energy. I don't know. It's because of their ceremonial practices, anything. I don't know. But the whole place, there's an old hotel, uh, a bar. There's all kinds of stuff there. And
Hmm.
people have gotten a lot of really interesting photos of apparitions there. So go to Bannock if you haven't been.
Mm. That would be cool.
B is asking, I was so curious about why I might feel so drained after watching the show. Like my energy levels feel like they're depleted pretty quickly while I'm on here watching. It's so weird. Uh, that's interesting. You're probably picking up on everybody's emotions coming into the chat and asking questions because I think that's what they're connecting to. What do you
Mhm.
think, Susie?
Well, and generally, like if I'm pulling on people, I've actually pulled their energy and drawn from them when I'm doing a reading from them, and I've had a lot of them comment about that. And so at times, like Celeste and I will actually be like reading the room, right? So instead of focusing just one person at a time, we'll like take the entire room in, and so she could be feeling that energy being pulled too. It's just kind of a, hey, what's going on? We're checking in. So I'm sorry if it drains you. um, Definitely like take a walk out in the grass, take a bath. That'll help to restore some of your energy, get some of
So
that
you
natural.
must be an empath.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, because empaths are the people who are going to pick up on that energy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time. I was working remotely from my house for 7 years and I loved it because being around people I find very, very draining. So I bet that's what's going on with you is you're picking up emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
empaths also pick up people's pain. If someone is in a foul mood, you're instantly in a foul mood. It's like you mirror what's going on around you, and that's really difficult.
And
So
when I first started reading tarot professionally for people, it would drain me afterwards. Sometimes I would get sick afterwards, or it would knock me out for a couple of days until I learned not to let those people pull my energy from me, that I pull it from the environment and from like Mother Nature, Earth, and I let that fill me up so that it draws, if they're pulling on me, they'll pull that instead of my own individual energy, if that makes any kind of sense. So, yeah.
definitely. And I'm going to put a link up here so that you can contact Susie directly for a full reading if you
Mm-hmm.
want. And Celeste, if she can make it on the show tonight, energy is kind of like my energy with technology, except that hers is more extreme than mine. Um,
Yeah.
she kills almost everything electronic she touches. I just
Mm-hmm.
screw it up. I don't kill it completely. I just screw it up. But so hopefully she'll make it on tonight. I keep looking for a message from her and I'm not seeing
She
any.
just texted me and she said everyone must be frazzled because this has been like she's been working on it for 35 minutes, and so she's trying. She didn't
Yeah,
forget
yeah.
us.
So Mad Max asked a question about, do you put up a wall kind of? Are you talking about, I think you're talking about Susie's energy, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put up a wall. It just depends on like if I come in and I feel that there's a lot of tension or if there's somebody that's got not very good intentions towards me or towards other people, I will definitely put up a big wall and they won't be able to penetrate at all. When I'm doing the readings, I just kind of relax and let it flow. But if I feel anything off when I'm reading people, it immediately goes up. So, but I generally kind of have it down, you know. If I put up too much of a wall when we go to do investigations, I like scare everything off and I'm like, I don't know, it's
Yes.
quiet in here. Yeah.
She and
So,
Celeste can bounce, and then Mark, because Mark's our demonologist, and some of you have met him in our classes. And if Mark, sometimes Mark will, and well, Susie and Celeste, but I think Mark on the real extreme, he will make activity flee when he's
mhm.
on the drive over to the house. And it's like, stop doing that.
Sometimes I think it's because he
That's
comes in at
fun.
like, oh, I'm going to take care of this. And he comes in
Yeah.
like a bull or a bear and they're like, oh, we're out. We
Yeah,
can feel
yeah.
you.
Mark is like, he just bounces stuff right out of the room just with this, just
Yeah.
even on the way over there, thinking about
Mhm.
who's there or what's there. He can bounce it. So
Yeah.
that's a special skill set. I have a hard time with walls, putting up walls. That's why I made physical ones on the
Mm-hmm.
farm and I
Mm-hmm.
protect the property lines. Those are my walls because I can't do it really easily for just myself. For
Mm-hmm.
my property, my animals, I can. For the farm, I can. But it's really hard for me. I have a hard time doing that wall. And if you're an empath, it can be very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I'm with someone, it's really hard to be in a relationship with someone because if they're, yeah, I start mirroring that and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really difficult. So that empath trait is not always an easy one to deal with. So
Yeah.
I
If
think
you
most
catch
people are
yourself.
empathic. It's just whether or not it's the extreme like I can be.
Yes. Yes. And if you start catching yourself mirroring people, the first step is realizing you're doing it. And then you can kind of pull it back, which is useful. And then I know you're very protected on your property because you put up, you know, those walls like that. And so if you can actually imagine that feeling, and then when you go out of your property, that feeling that you get when you're on your property with the walls up, if you just even start imagining that or remembering that feeling, that'll put the walls around you
Yeah.
real fast. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, some of you may have heard this, and it's really hard to know how many is actually in our audience because the number count we get is it's only a portion of all of the different platforms. So there may be a whole bunch of people on like my private page, and so they don't show up. I mean, it's like, so we have a hard time. But so I know a few of you have heard the story about what happened to us after we went to Skinwalker Ranch the first year, and um, the weird light phenomenon that I had at this place. Oh, there she is. I'm trying to get her on stage. There
Yay!
she is.
On the phone because the
Woohoo!
laptop isn't working.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Well, we're filling in some time. We're waiting for some questions to come in. McKenna can't make it because she was doing the drive back today with the kids, and I think she was just didn't know if she'd make it in time, and she didn't want to rush. And I said it's fine. So,
Mhm.
um, so I was telling everybody, hey Trista, we were telling everybody about being an empath, and Susie's trying to explain putting up some barriers and walls with that, and it's and then I was talking about I do have barriers on the property. It's hard for me physically, personally to do, but And then that weird thing that happened after we came home from Skinwalker with the light that hit the property, and that just like blue white beam of light that was on on this property, but it didn't go across the property lines. And now I'm wondering, was it the walls
Mm-hmm.
that didn't allow that
Oh.
light? Because I don't know where the light source was. I never could find it, but even my neighbor saw it. It freaked him out so much. He went inside. He's like, I don't know what it was. I went in.
So it was inside your property or on
It
the
was
outside?
like shining down. It was illuminating my little farm.
Mm-hmm.
When I came around off the paved road onto the gravel,
Mm-hmm.
when I made that turn at the mailboxes, I could see this weird light, this intensity, like arc welding blue light
Mm-hmm.
on. And that's what caught my attention. And I looked over, and then it was like so intense as I'm driving down the gravel road and I'm looking towards my property. It was so intense that it was like I could see like the trees were negatives.
Oh, wow.
It was really intense. And I'm like, what in the world? And then I came flying around the corner to come into my gate. And when I made the turn to come into the gate, the light was gone and everything was black. Animals were fine. But when I looked at the light, I'm looking for a source because it was definitely from above.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking for the light source and I couldn't find it. I'm like, what in the world? What did I just see? Did I imagine this? So I didn't say anything to you guys because I'm like, did I just like have a stroke? And you know what I
You
mean?
smell toast, burnt toast.
So I didn't say anything to you guys. And it took me about 2 weeks before I finally came into our private chat and I said, hey, this weird thing happened to me. And Tim went down to Skinwalker with me. It was me and his ex-wife and him. And he goes, when did this happen? And I told him, and he goes, it happened to me too. But his was just to call him a light on him and his roommate. They had a guy that lived with them
Mm-hmm.
and a friend of his. And his friend actually saw the lights, called Tim out. And when Tim came outside, it became narrow and focused on him only.
Mm.
So
So
the
did
two
it
people who went to Skinwalker, like, yeah.
give you any kind of particular feeling when you saw it, besides like, what the crap is this? Did you get like a
I
negative or?
well, with him it did. With
Mm-hmm.
him, it like opened up all kinds of stuff for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like his third eye kind of, like a bunch of stuff happened with him. Okay. But with me, no, I was just concerned about like, did anything happen with the animals? And I
Right.
hadn't said anything to anybody. And it was 2 days later when my neighbor came over with his big tractor to help me move some big hay bales. When he kind of looked at me funny and I go, what? He goes, did you happen to see a really bright light over your property the other night? And I'm like, oh my God, you saw it? And he goes, yeah. I said, did you see where it was coming from? And I told him that I was driving in when I saw it. And he goes, no. And I said, what do you think it was? He goes, I don't know, but I went in the house. It freaked him out a little.
So interesting. They want to check you out just as much as you want to check them out. You know, you go down to Skinwalker Ranch to check them out, and they're like, "Hey, paybacks! I'm going to come to your place and check you out." So.
Yeah, but so I never really thought too much about. I knew that there was a lot of UFO activity down in the Vernal Basin, and yeah, I know Mad Max. So they said sounds like the weird estimeter pegged out bullshit meter. So yeah, I know that there was a lot of UFO activity in Vernal before I'd gone down there, but at first, when I was down there, we saw a lot of bizarre stuff, and then every time I've gone back, I've seen a lot of bizarre stuff.
Are you
And
going back this year again?
yeah, yeah.
When are you doing that?
The Phenomenon is the first week of September.
No, I mean to Skinwalker.
Oh, I don't know that I'm going to the actual ranch this year, but you don't
Oh.
have to be at the actual ranch. The energy there is just loaded. They started reporting UFOs in the Vernal Basin in the Salt Lake Tribune, I think it was called at the time, in this whatever newspaper it was back in the day, in the 1800s.
Wow.
There were articles as far back as like 50, somewhere in there, 1860, something like that. Whenever that newspaper started there is basically when they started reporting strange things going on in the sky.
And nothing as far as like Native American reports of anything
Oh, yeah.
prior?
Oh, yeah. There's a
Okay.
lot of Native American. If you really start digging into the UFO activity in Vernal, the Native Americans, they actually have so petroglyphs, the carved rocks, not just the pictographs, but the petroglyphs that are carved in. They have UFOs in the petroglyphs. So they
Wow.
documented this, and those petroglyphs are really old. I mean, I forget what the dating are. If you go to McConkey Ranch and then you go to Dinosaur National Park, there's petroglyphs everywhere down there, everywhere. And there's very clearly what's a UFO in the sky that they carved into their rocks.
In Egypt, in the hieroglyphs, there's UFOs.
See, it's fascinating. It's everywhere.
So do you guys believe that we happen to be maybe hybrids of aliens?
Possibly.
I don't. I think there may be some people here that are.
I've actually run across somebody that with me and my children who are like me, we passed her and she gave off the funkiest energy. And she was extremely tall, probably close to 7 feet. And some of her facial features were very like elongated. The eyes were a little more raised, almondy, and kind of more slit, but she was very, very pale, very white, like white hair. And we were just kind of like, whoa. She just gave us a she's not completely human vibe really quickly.
I have run across a few people in my life that, like Max said, the Oshita meter came up on me, and I'm like, "Ooh, this isn't human." Like you know, it's like this is not. I remember as a young adult, so probably 18 to 24 or 5. I remember running into a lady at home in my hometown who frightened me to the point where I was speechless and I would just back away from her. The energy, and she looked different. She wasn't tall. She wasn't tall, but she was very thin, and her features were very similar to what you're talking about. To the point, she gave me such a hinky feeling. To this day, I remember exactly where she lived because I'd have to drive by that house and how uncomfortable even her property made me.
So that's your intuition. That's your animalistic sixth sense of preservation. Like, run, get out of there. Something's not right. So I think that holds a lot of water. You know, I really do. Your gut.
I'm turning off my other.
Yeah, I'm seeing that you're trying to connect. There she is. Okay, get her over here. Is that better?
Yeah, it finally came up. So
awesome. I've also,
you guys were waiting for questions. Please don't be shy. Hop in and ask your question in the comment. Let us know if you have a question for the ladies to read tonight. If you have an issue, a problem. Yeah, so I think, have you guys heard, and one we're just going to chat until we get questions, but
yes.
Have you guys heard about the whole conspiracy theory that there are lizard people living amongst us?
Yes. I've heard about lizards, grays, what's the other, Pleiadians, right?
Pleiadians,
and then there's another one. Is it
the
like water?
Now the guy, wasn't the guy who set off the bomb in Nashville in that camper, that explosion? Remember, he put a bunch of TNT in there and he blew himself up. It was in an RV. He was convinced it was lizard people that he was going to kill.
Well, I've seen some older videos of people with their glitchy eyes and weird skin, and kind of reminds me of, that old show V. Do you ever remember that? I'm like, they're going to start peeling skin off, shedding.
He was convinced that it was the lizard people that they were taking over everything. He was convinced that President Obama was a lizard person. I mean, this guy was a little off. He was, he blew himself up. So there's that. But he said, he packed that camper. He had a camper, and he packed it full of like the over the bed camper. I think that's what it was. I think, or maybe it was one you could drive. I'm not sure. But anyway, he packed it full of explosives and then he just blew it up downtown Nashville. I think it was Nashville. I was like, I don't remember how long ago, but I want to say it was like 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't remember, but somewhere in that ballpark. And I've watched a lot of documentaries and interviews with his then. He thought it was his girlfriend. She said I was not his girlfriend. But she's like, yeah, he was out there.
That's really interesting.
So
I was going to say, I've met people that have told me they are lizard people, and there's a couple of them I wouldn't be surprised they're not something weird. But then when I was in New Zealand, I was told I'm from the Palladians, so I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me, but it's I've found throughout my life that sometimes the folklore and the theories are not necessarily made up completely. So
Yeah, a little bit of truth in every conspiracy.
exactly.
Or actually a little bit of conspiracy in every truth.
Yeah.
That's what I've been noticing. I'm like, oh, so you kind of normalize it by saying it's a conspiracy. Ha, let's laugh it off. And then, oh, yeah, it is true, by the way.
yeah.
I've heard
So
that.
you guys don't be shy. Step up and ask your questions. We have an hour.
Yeah.
We can talk about just about anything, just to let you know. But can refresh my memory on the Palladians? I've read, but
the Palladians are a constellation in our galaxy, I believe, and it's called the Seven Sisters, and it's a cluster of stars.
It's in Orion's belt.
Yes, and they believe that they have sent people, or whatever you call them, to this planet to either help or to intermingle, different things like that. But the Palladians were the ones who are trying to bring like peace, bring healing, bring restoration back to the planet.
okay.
Yeah. They actually need to push us forward. But then there's other ones like the reptilians and the grays that are not very nice, is what the theory goes.
Yeah, they're kind of more primal, is what my feeling is.
Also, there's the indigos, right? Now, can you guys explain the indigos? Because I can do it, but I'll butcher it a little bit. So why don't you guys talk about that?
Well, from what I understand, the indigos are special gifted people. Some people say I fall into that category. I would imagine they would think Susie falls into that category, but it's people that are born with natural gifts, whether it's the intuition, the premonition, the being the medium, the being able to heal, the being able to manipulate or manifest, different things like that. And
crash your computer.
Yeah. Struggle trying to sign on for 4.5 hours. But yeah, and it's so funny because the more clear my gifts are becoming, the harder I have working with electronics or anything. I glitched my TV out the other night. It just like flashed and went off. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm having more and more problems with all of my electronics. Like it's just getting harder to get anything done. But yeah, I've run into one person that I would consider indigo. Yeah, but there was a special level of crazy with her that I'm not sure that. So, dude, not our kind of crazy. There was a level there.
Yeah,
we're just nuts. Got you.
It goes hand in hand because I think because you're functioning on a completely different level. You're like, they talk about our vibration, and when your vibration is that high and you can actually see more than an average person or feel more, it's hard to decipher sometimes. Am I crazy? Is this all just in my head, or is this in my head? You know, it's a weird double-edged sword, fine line kind of thing.
Hey, Dave. Hey, Corey. Thanks for stopping in. Go ahead and ask questions. We have a half hour here, so you guys don't be shy.
And it doesn't have to be questions for tarot you need to ask. If you just want to ask us random, like we're talking about questions, that's fun too.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And I find it's amazing how many people have gifts and they have not tapped into them at all,
Mhm.
or they completely try to shut them out of their life, and they don't understand that a lot of times you want to shut them out, they may boomerang back at you
Yep.
Yeah.
with more
Whoever
intensity.
did that, David? I don't know. I didn't.
Oh, Sherry wants to get into
Oh
thoughts on that
boy.
trial. Oh my God, here we go.
Mhm.
Hi, Jason. So Sherry and I talked about, Sherry and I and Celeste and Susie, if she wants. We are going to do another show on the trials. So let's get, hey Jess. Um, Oh, and David, he wants in on this. We'll have to have a round table. So
That'd
let's
be
set
fun.
it up maybe in the next week, because we need to do, while it's still fresh in our head about everything we saw. We're talking about the Lori Vallow Daybell trial that
Mhm.
happened in Arizona, and the verdict was reached yesterday. So let's wait on that one. Yes. So let's get our calendars together and let's get something done, because it's bananas. The whole case to me, I just, yeah. Anyway, I know
Mhm.
Jess is like, yuck, I can't stand her voice. And we get a whole nother trial with her.
Mhm.
So I know, don't call her Vallow. I get it. I know.
Mhm.
Um, anyway, yeah. So let's talk more about paranormal stuff tonight. But I think and I guess David has experienced this, right? So you have tried to shut down your abilities. And I know you've talked a lot with Celeste and Susie, and you can't do that
Mhm.
because it's just going to slap you in the face later on. It's
Mhm.
just,
They don't like
um,
being ignored, do they,
yeah,
Celeste?
yeah.
Yeah,
I've had
it's
them rush
go.
me when I was in college. Like, I had a relative. I was just flipping through. The professor says turn to page 35, and so I'm flipping through. And because I'd have been ignoring a dead relative, right? Trying to study, and then all of a sudden his face was like right here. And that pissed me off. Of course, I yelled at him and kicked him out. But yeah, and then like restaurants had him rush me in there. Yeah, they want to be heard, and I don't blame them. So yeah, the gifts definitely wait for you.
They some of the things I've
And
been
stockpile to avalanche on you.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Some of the things I've been somewhat successful on kind of pushing away. The premonition part I don't like at all, and that is from my mom, and I pushed it back for a very long time. It came roaring back a few years ago, and I pretty much made it like, go away, go away, go away. I don't like that, because it's never fun stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
never oh, I'm gonna win the scratch off tomorrow when I go to Exxon. No, it's not. It's never fun stuff, and so I don't. We have enough of that in our lives. I don't want to see it. You guys go ahead and ask questions, please, while we're just rambling here. Yeah, Sherry said this past week, since losing a close friend, we've been seeing her in places.
Oh,
I'm sorry for
definitely.
your loss. And yes, that
Mm-hmm.
happens. Um, yeah, and Jess said dreams for me is when I get my stuff. It's crazy, and it's weird, Jess, because Jess and I get in each other's heads a lot, and we'll and the last week, the dreams for me have been um, like bonkers. Seeing people and talking to people who have been gone for a long time in my dreams lately. So yeah. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Jason, I'm getting abilities back. Can't say I'm excited about it. I have a knack for feeling them, and now we'll see things in my side view. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did warn you, Jason, hanging out with me, I would trigger you. So you were fair warned early.
Sherry, no, I don't know about. I'm sure Lizette told you about her last week. Oh, that was the loss.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. Jess, stay out of there. Yeah, because we do that for each other all the time. Like, we're like finishing each other's thoughts. It's really bizarre.
Well, and you guys that are having those dreams, like any of those lucid dreams are really important. Even if it's not dreaming about a dead loved one, you're going to get signs and symbols and things like that. The earlier you can write those down, keep a dream journal on your side. And as soon as you start writing them down, you'll remember more and more things. It's another way for the universe, God, source, universe, to be talking to you, giving you guidance, letting you know about maybe past lives or, even future, predictions just simply for you. So
or use your voice recorder app on your phone. I tend to do voice recorder. I don't have time to sit and write something down, because it's like I'm just moving all day long.
only reason I write it down is because it's the muscle memory that cements it in my brain versus if I just record something.
Oh, well, for me, it's like I talk through stuff and I'll put it in my voice recorder. But whatever works for you guys, David, let's see. David has been traveling in his dreams, Sherry said. Yeah, that happens. So that
he's also been more concentrating on some astral travel, like he was talking about. So he's going to be able to slip in and out a lot easier now.
Yeah. Astral projection is pretty cool. It's harder for me to do it now than it was. I used to be able to do it when I younger, like all the time. It was constant. And it wasn't until my mom told me that's what I was doing. When I talked to her about it, finally one time she goes, you're leaving, and make sure that you can come back. But I didn't understand that. I didn't understand, well, I don't know how to, like I was just back,
Yeah, it's because it's more natural for you at that age. But as you get older and stuff and all that logic kicks in, then you do need your golden tether or whatever to bring you back. So,
yeah. Have you heard about, and I don't know if we talked about it, what was on, I do so many shows that I forget now, but about meeting someone else who's astral
yes.
projecting at the same time?
I'm still trying to find the video where she posted it, but yeah, it was a girl that practiced astral traveling, and she went into a building and she saw government people in a room with their bodies and the tethers, and she saw the shadow of one of the astral travelers, and it scared her because she didn't get a good vibe from it, and she said that she got out of there as quick as she could. So
Sherry asked, what happens if I try waking him up and he's in that situation?
My opinion, he'll be fine.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you wouldn't know that he's astral.
Have you guys ever experienced that feeling like you're falling and you slam? Sometimes that is what I think that comes from, is that we're slamming back into our body. Either something woke us up or startled us while we were out.
Yeah, that could be he's pulled back.
Get that sudden fall.
Yeah, I'm wondering. And I'd have to actually sit here and think about the nights that I've actually known that I've left, because I do remember I've had quite a number of those lately where I've just I'm slammed back, and so maybe maybe I'm not dreaming, maybe I'm projecting.
Probably. Yeah. And sometimes those slam backs, it's not something like in the physical world that's disturbing you and bringing you back, but it could be as you're traveling and you're like, oh, I'm not supposed to be here, or this feels weird, or this doesn't feel right, and then immediately right back. It's like more of a subconscious thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't sleep well anyway, so I don't know. Yeah, between the dogs or the cat ralphing or something going on around here.
Nothing gets you out of bed faster than a cat puke.
Sound like you are in the deepest coma sleep. That's what they should do with coma patients. Give them a cat with a hairball, put it right on the chest, and as soon as that sound, you are just awake, man. Oh my God. Yeah. It's we should try that. Just saying, would they let a cat in a hospital? Because that's what they should do. Yeah. Boo Boo, the hairballs. And it's like, no matter what. But anyway, getting back to the silver thread. Or the goats outside your window bleeding. Yeah, my new windows, I have a hard time hearing anything now inside this house. It has to be pretty loud. So what I do now is, now that I have the farm camera going, I stream it at night, and I can leave the audio on my computer and I can hear what's going on
You
outside
have
at
a
night.
nanny cam on your animals.
I
How
have a
sweet.
nanny cam. I have a goat. I've seen it. A kid cam.
Yep.
And they're
A
not
kid,
kids
it's a
anymore.
kid cam for the goats. I like it.
Kids, they're very cute. Yeah, and he's got all kinds of babies this year, calves and kids, and um yeah. So, and then I have Eddie, who alerts me if there's ever any dog tickets on the property. Eddie, the donkey, goes off. A kid cam, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, Mad Max said if we took a cat in, that might be catastrophic.
I'm surprised nobody's asked us any questions yet. This is interesting.
So you guys are all good this week, like totally, completely fine.
You're all
I'm a
totally not
mess, but
discombobulated and freaking out.
yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Going back to, I wanted to go back to the UFO thing in Vernal for a minute, and I'm hoping it's really hard to catch anything on film down there in the sky because hanging out with friends, yep. It's really hard to catch anything. You need such a high-powered system to be able to catch that kind of movement, because when you're looking at it, and what we found, especially when Tim and I were down there the first time, when we're really concentrating on the sky, and we sat there for like 4 nights, just really focused on what the movement was we were seeing. And for those of you who don't know, I used to be an air traffic controller. So I'm a nerd and I have air traffic control apps on my phone. So I know the flight numbers of flights and their flight paths going all over. So when I'm traveling, I'm always pulling that kind of stuff up. But you're looking at some of the stuff zooming around in the sky and you're like, we don't have capability of flight like this. We have nothing. And even being in the military, I mean, I know that there's a lot of top secret stuff going on, but we still don't have this kind of capability. And what we were seeing was, if you look straight on it, you weren't seeing as, but if you turned your head a little to the side, then you can see things darting around. And then you could see like a star, and then out of the star, another one would drop out of it and then become bigger. And then another one drop, you'd see the path of light drop out and get bigger. And it would just go bloop, 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 bloop. And then they'd all go in different directions. I'm sorry, we can't do that. And we were absolutely blown away by the stuff we were seeing down there. And have you guys in the chat, have you guys ever seen anything like that? There's crazy stuff that goes on here too. And like when you go out on the desert here, you can, without any light, you start seeing some really bizarre stuff. And down there, there's not much light. When you get out of Vernal, it's dark. So, David has been really sensitive lately. I've been feeling them around me and walking near. Funny thing, I heard a very smart ass spirit in church. He said right before the service, "Here we go again." That's pretty funny right there. Yeah, okay, so Mud Lover has a question about books. Is there any book recommendations to help with any gifts someone might have and how to enhance them, or how does someone know?
I never read a book. Did you guys?
Not to develop them, no,
read.
but I know that there are books out there, and I have a pretty big library downstairs, so I can look and see what I have. I know there are some books on this stuff now that have been written. Llewellyn Press, I think it's called Llewellyn Press. They have a lot of books on mysticism and the spiritual realm and stuff like that. So,
meditation helps.
Say again?
Meditation helps big time to help open you up.
Yeah.
Practicing a lot of that.
Somebody's asking about the CE5 protocols. Have you done the CE5 protocols? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. Do you, Celeste?
let's see. I don't know what this is comment, Jess, this comment is in response to.
That's to how to open up. So meditation and grounding.
Maybe to
Okay.
the meditation part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Mud Lover, let me take a look at some of my library and see what kind of books that I have. I'm happy to loan you something. If I've got anything on it, I'll take a look this weekend, see what's down there. But also, I wanted to give you guys a tip if while we're kind of chatting here, waiting for any other questions to come on. You guys are giving us a break tonight, but
Mm-hmm.
if you go to, it's called Thrift Books, THRIFT, Thrift Books. It's a used bookstore online. They have an enormous section on mysticism and everything paranormal. And you can
Mm-hmm.
buy stuff on that site for basically pennies on the dollar. And I have a huge okay. They have a huge section of this stuff. So
Okay.
yeah, so I've heard of Dr. Stephen Greer. That rings a bell, but it's still not. I'm going to have to look this up now. I need to go back and make a note. Have my notepad here for when we get stuff like this that comes up.
Did you see Jason's comment there too?
No. Let me look. I'm writing this down so I don't forget it. So I can look up this stuff. Oh, Jason, where's this comment? Lava, when I lived in Lava off Blazer Highway, saw more UFO activity. Oh, really?
And we had a discussion about this like a couple days ago. Also, Bigfoot.
Wow, now Tim has property out there by Lava, in
Really?
Lava. You know
Mm-hmm.
where Ligertown was?
Mm-hmm.
So you would go,
that's active.
yeah. So you go basically through that on that road, and then you go back up the mountain to his property, and he's got, yeah. So tons of there's things out there. There's
Maybe
things
we'll
out
have
there
to
in that
hit him
area.
up for a night watching session.
Yeah. So Jess, I think this is her comment on Dr. Greer, right? So I think it's really ringing a bell, but I can't put it. It's yeah. Anyway, I wish it's that I had all this knowledge, and that's why I can't remember anything anymore. But I don't think that's it. I think it's too many head injuries. Sherry said, I miss all of us getting together. Can we get together soon for a barbecue? You bet. My house is always open for a party. You know that, Sherry. Let's see. And then, yeah, he said it's Bigfoot activity by Burt Creek Trail off Blazer Highway. So is Blazer Highway the one that goes back towards you're going to go on the backside of Pebble up to Haystack Mountain? Is that highway that goes back around to?
Yeah, I think it's the backside of Pebble as you're headed back there.
Yeah, so that is okay.
That's where he was.
There's fields back there because I have to take that sometimes to get to some of my sites that I go to for work, and there's some fields back there there's spiritual stuff going on back there. Definitely.
Celeste,
Big Springs, yep.
Yeah.
Sherry wants to know, maybe you want this one. She said, do you see anything coming for her in the next couple weeks?
Oh gosh, I'm glad you're looking. Thank you. Yeah, the zip line, Jason. I know where the zip line is. Bigfoot interdimensional.
I don't know if the computer, you guys keep setting off and stalling.
It might be your
interdimensional.
What?
Yeah, because like just a second ago, it was spinning, like reloading for you two.
Oh, okay.
I think it's on your end. It's not doing that for me.
Everything's not wanting to work.
Mm-hmm.
Susie, do you have anything for Sherry?
For Sherry, let's take a look. Magician.
While you're pulling for Sherry, there's a question on Bigfoot. Do you think it's interdimensional or kind of a hide and seek? And you know, the scientist in me says it has to be interdimensional because we're just not finding enough scat, bones, hair, right? But we do have hair, and that has come back to an unknown. So you would think at this point, although we do find more and more animals, right, that unknown species, but most of those species that we're finding are in South America, in very densely heavy foliage, where there was a deer that they found, I don't know now, 20 years ago now, right? But it has like a breathing gill up here on the top of its nose. And they had not known of this existence before. So is it like a biological animal that we haven't pinpointed, or Jason says I think it's both. And that's where I'm kind of thinking, like, could it be both? Could it be something that is a little more advanced and has figured out how to use portals to move? We're just now astrophysicists are just now saying, look, there are other countries out there trying to figure out portals and how to weaponize them. We've got to get a handle on this. And so I agree with this completely, that we really need to get a handle on this. So, and what if they bury their scat? Yeah, I don't know.
But primates don't do that.
Yeah, but I don't know that they're necessarily a primate.
I know, but if you base it on primate, because that's what they all say they are, then yeah, no. And just side note for Sherry, I'm getting school. There's going to be a slight decision you're going to have to make with school. I almost feel like one class is not going to be available to you that you want to take, and so you're going to have to like decide on something else. It's kind of minor, but don't overthink it. Yeah, because it's going to be for your highest good, and it'll come, whatever it is, that other path is going to come back around again. But don't sweat it. But it's going to be just a slight adjustment with your school, or even maybe they'll say, hey, you need to start picking your specific area. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. But yeah, I would love to go on a Bigfoot hunt. I've already told Jason that we would all be very interested in that, which would be amazing to go live stream that.
Jason, any weekend. Absolutely. I'm usually always here, so I would love to do that. Sherry said, thank you. I needed that. So, let's see. Jason said Scott Carpenter had a film of them using portals. Many have said that they have completely disappeared when trying to follow them. And yeah, portals are the most logical.
The last one I heard about wasn't this last winter, but the winter before, right out there in the Nordic Center, that there was a lady chased that would go out, not on the trails, but she kind of went off the trail a little bit, and she got spooked, and then she said she got chased out by one just right out there by the Nordic Center. So that's just like at the base of Scout, right?
Yep.
Yeah. If you guys can hear me, I had a friend who was a forest ranger and was up by Scout Mountain following tracks in the snow, and they disappeared, and there were no trees or rocks or anything. It was like they were there and then they were gone.
Yeah, Pat has a question too. My friend is going to India. Is this a positive thing? I worry because she's going alone to meet someone. That's a little spooky. Well, my spidey senses come up on stuff like that.
Yeah, I've got the Magician here, which can come out as a trickster energy, huh, Miss Celeste? So let's pull on him a little more.
I don't feel terrible, but I do feel very apprehensive.
Watch your money.
Needs to be a lot of caution.
Watch your money.
Vaughn asked what month was the Bigfoot seen, and I have something that happened on Scout Mountain as well, and then on Crystal Summit. But so what month do you remember? Well, you said snow. There was snow.
There
Yeah,
was
it was heavy snow, huh? Right, Celeste?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a lot of snow. It's been several years ago. I think it was. Do you remember your friends that I married up at Pebble Creek on the Wolf Moon in January? Colleen, do you remember that? They were both with
Yeah,
the Forest
yeah, they
Service.
were in Kalispell
I
now. Yeah.
believe it was her that told me. So it was like the year or so before that. So it's been several years ago. But yeah, it
Okay.
was very deep snow. And I believe she said she was following it. She wasn't close
Mm-hmm.
enough to visually see it,
Yeah.
but she could hear the snow crunching and then it
Yeah,
stopped and kept
following
going.
track.
And there were it like the tracks just ended. There was
I
nothing
think
that
that's
could
the
have.
same story
I
that
have a
I
story
was told.
similar to that. And she's a firefighter. Um, yeah, so she spent most of her life out in the woods, well, on wildland fires. So she's very, I mean, she's experienced in the woods. Also on Scout Mountain, an acquaintance of mine, was following. She would snowshoe. She would take her skis and put them on her back, and then she would snowshoe to the top because that Scout Mountain Road is closed in the winter. It's not maintained, so they gate it, but you can still use it. You can walk it. So she would take her snowshoes and go all the way to the top of Scout, and then ski all the way down, and that would be your exercise for the. Yeah, she's in crazy shape. And she said that as she's snowshoeing one afternoon, it was afternoon, and she looked down and she just happened to see these enormous tracks, like barefoot tracks in the snow, and she stopped in her tracks. She's like, "What in the world?" And so she started backing up to try and figure out where did they come from, because it was a steep incline, the road, and then you have the pretty steep bank coming down, and then a pretty steep bank come. And she's like, "There's no coming. They just appeared in the middle of the road." And she goes, "Well, that's weird." So she kept going with her snowshoes and she kept following the tracks. And as she's kind of hoofing it up the road, the tracks are gone. Again,
Mm-hmm.
it's plucked out of space just
Yeah.
because it
And
didn't go up and it didn't go down. It just stopped. It's as suddenly as it started, it stopped. But they were there for probably a good mile. And she said it spooked her so bad that she skied down right then and there. And it took her a long time, years to go back on her own.
wow, have you had any personal experiences with them, Celeste?
Mine, I think it was the smell. A lot of people talk about they smell skunk like a stinky,
Yeah.
musky kind of a smell. And it's not really knocking, but it's kind of knocking
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
sounds.
The knocking is pretty common.
But I never saw Shasta, who said that they saw him, and it was one where it kind of was almost like oh, what is it called, how they make like the image that kind of like our credit cards have the little image on them.
Oh, yeah, like the hologram.
Yeah, it was hologram. That's what they said. It was like there was nothing there, and then there was something there, and then there was nothing there, and it was shimmery. And they stood and were trying to talk to Bigfoot. You hear stories of people saying that they get attacked or this or that, but most of the people that I know that have experienced something, it's always been either positive or safety related or protective, that it's never been they tried to harm them or anything like that. But I think it could be misperceived. I know if I was going along and suddenly there was a giant hairy thing in front of me, I probably wouldn't go, "Oh, hey, he went with him," So I think
Yeah.
that's our natural fight or flight instinct that kicks in, and so I think there's misconception that they're aggressive or dangerous.
So Jason talked about stories that were collected on Bigfoot down at the Donetta Hot Springs. And I haven't heard it, actually not been to those hot springs, but I hadn't heard anything about that. I'd love to find that book. And then Mud Lover, has anyone heard of any portals on Old Highway 91, but where specifically? The one place that makes me get the willies, there's one place and it's down by, what is it called? Garden Gap?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is that the one where you go, then you can turn and you go, yep.
And there's
Yeah.
just those rocks, and then
rock
that's
formations that come down. And
I
then
like
there's
home in that area.
I think it's pretty. It's pretty. But that one, but yeah, is that what Mud Lover, is that what you were talking about on Old Highway 91? I was thinking more towards Marsh Valley or 91. Isn't that 91 down there too?
So the old I don't think so. The old highway from Shelley headed south. So probably like the first basalt area is maybe what she's talking about. And that me, that's always given me a weird vibe down there.
Where? Where?
The first basalt area.
Oh,
Just south of Shelley.
We had that one. Remember, we had that one case that we ended up backing out of because of all of the issues.
And again, that was crazy and paranormal.
That was in basalt.
Fixed.
Yeah, that was in basalt.
So
and it was, yeah, we just can't put ourselves in these situations sometimes when there's, yeah, that was, I don't know. My buddy is always being chased away from their areas. They get cautious and come near me. Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't. So so Mud Lover said, I swear I saw one maybe a month ago. Are you talking Bigfoot or portal? Like, I don't know.
Or Bigfoot going through a portal.
Bigfoot going through a portal, right? Yeah. So we had that really interesting thing happen at the last class on our investigation. And it was in what is that called? Garrison Hall? Is that called Garrison, I think? That building on ISU campus with the last class. We gone up to like floor 2 and we'd gotten off the elevator and as soon as you get off the elevator, there was a little sitting area and I think a vending machine or Coke machine or something. And then you get back on the elevator and we went up to floor 1 or 3 and got off and did some stuff. And then we went back down to floor 2 and then floor 2 didn't look like floor 2 anymore.
I was with you. Yes, it was. That was trippy.
Yeah, that was messed up.
A lot of people in the class experienced it too. It was only on the north side of the building, not on the south. Didn't happen on the south, only on the north.
Like the energy just switched and it was almost like you weren't on the same floor anymore. Just something was weird. It looked different.
Rooms numbered starting with the same number of a different floor.
Yep.
Instead of being 4 something, it was 2 something or whatever. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting chills. It was weird. That thing was just weird in that building. We were like, what was going on? Because it didn't happen the first time we were there.
Depot says that we all need to build a map and mark where everybody's reporting.
There are maps out there. If you Google them, there are places where you can report this stuff. And I know, so I'm on the Idaho chapter person for the North American Dogman Project. So we do keep a map of dogman sightings, but there are Bigfoot maps as well. There's a group out there that collects sightings and pinpoints them, and they overlay. So what we were talking about with last week on our live Thursday show, you guys need to go back and watch that. It's posted, so it doesn't go away. But we had Kenny on there from Midnight Lycanthropy, and we were talking to him about the dogman sightings. And so I brought up some sightings of mysterious disappearances of people in the United States. And they're overlaid on our cave systems. And so then when you do the side-by-side comparison of like the dogman sightings and the mysterious disappearances of people, if you overlaid them, they'd be almost a match. So you got to wonder how many mysterious disappearances of people are it's related to dogmen. And then I wondered, then dogmen, Sherry, you're gonna have to, yeah, well, go back and watch that episode. It's pretty good. It is another being, but it's not a Bigfoot. Dogman is a different. There seems to be 6 categories of dogmen, and we show pictures of what renditions, artist renditions of what these categories are. There was one cited. It's a really quite fascinating just tale of one in Twin that was in the canyon, the Snake River Canyon, that came up and was interacting with people at their house. So, yeah, and those line up. Devo said, I think those line up with the national parks as well too. And many of the cave systems are in the national parks, and the mysterious disappearances. But you got to wonder how all of this fits together. Are people being plucked out? Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Hey, we're past our time, guys, but we can keep going if you want.
I was going to say
Fun.
one of the things that I find fascinating with the people vanishing is sometimes everything has vanished and the person is found like 80 miles away. Sometimes the person is gone, but their shoes and their clothes are sitting in the last place they were seen. It's
There's
just, I don't know.
fascinating story of a skier who was actually skiing with a group of friends in New York. In New York, on the side of a mountain skiing, all of a sudden wakes up in Roseville in Sacramento County in his ski clothes. That day, he shows up in Roseville. Right. Well, like if you've ever been to Roseville, it's part of Sacramento County. It's huge. And all of a sudden, he's like, what am I doing here? The last memory he has is going down the slope. It was somewhere, it was in New York State. And so, anyway, it's crazy, but something's going on. And so I think a trucker or somebody picked him up, got him to a police station or something like that. And he's like, what happened? And his friends are frantically trying to find him at the ski area in New York. He had to fly home. He's like, he had no memory of it. How can he get there that day? Because even a flight from Sacramento to New York, that's all day. And this was within hours. He shows up in Roseville. So yeah, that was a banana story. But anyway, guys, we are. Yeah, Jess said there was a disappearance out at Craters, and they still haven't found him, just his shoes and some other items. So, but remember too that hypothermia gets to people in funny ways. The end stages of hypothermia, when you are literally going through the process of freezing to death, you become very hot and you start taking off all your clothes. So there is that. And a lot of people do die of exposure out in the wild, right? In that hypothermia stage and there's actual term for it. And again, my brain, I can't think of it, but you do start taking off everything that's protecting you because you are actually, your brain is not getting any oxygen and is starting to shut down. So, anyway, we've got to go, guys. We're way past our time, but this was fun. I enjoyed it a lot. And I think, yeah, McKenna will be here next week. She's got a whole bunch of new interesting topics for us to dive into. So I can't wait for her to come back. She's awesome. And we will see you guys. To all of our new viewers out there, thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. Please subscribe so you're notified of when we're on. And we will see you. And tomorrow is our show, a live show with an author he did a book on vampires and a famous area that's haunted, and he does his own little hauntings, paranormal stuff. So he's going to be on tomorrow night. And so join us again at 7 for that episode.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.